Greetings and aloha, what's going on? It's Mike from LiveMyAssOff.com. And one of the things that I like to do when I come to a new place, and for me, Krabi is a new place, is I like to just sort of drive around. Now, I will put something in Google Maps as far as a destination and that sort of thing. But for the most part, along the way, I will certainly stop and check places out because that's interesting to me. Now, the other thing I will normally do when I start a video is start it off by me talking into the camera, and you can see my face. However, this morning, as I have not done in a long time, actually, I cut myself shaving. So I have this very large bandage on my face that I attempted to take off, and then the blood came rushing out. So I thought I'd spare you that, other than this description that I've just made. So anyway, so this is Pier 1, as you noticed back there. And as I was driving along, I drove down a street and I got to the pier sort of over there. And I looked out and I was like, wow, the tide is really low. So then I thought, okay, well, maybe I'll just take a left down this street. And I ended up at this pier. And since I've gotten here, I've seen kind of like, you know, those like motorbike things that have the little I don't know, sort of sidecar. Basically, it's more than just a sidecar. It'll hold like 4 people sometimes, and a lot of times they'll use it for carrying gear around and that sort of thing. But I've seen a few of those drive out here this morning. Yeah, that was what I saw that really made me sort of, is this buoy right there. I said, oh my goodness, it is low tide. So anyway, so having seen that, I drove a little bit down here and ended up here. And when it's low tide, it is significantly low tide. There are normally, I would submit, millions of these things. So many of the islands around here are places that people go. During this trip, I will probably not go to any. I may take a boat over to Raleigh Beach, but I don't think so, because I'm only here for 4 days and I just kind of like checking out Krabi. And I can always come back, and when I do so, then I may check out some of the islands. But I found some pretty awesome beaches around here, and you know, I've only been here the 1 day. So anyway, the other thing I like to do, I like to like go to the beach, and sometimes I like to just sit there and I like to just listen to the waves, just kind of, you know, splashing up on the sand. Other times I like to come and I like to watch boats. And then other times I like to come down to piers and just sit here and watch the boats kind of cruise by. So that's what I'm going to do here for a little bit, I think. Now, as you might guess, the majority of these boats are unfortunately unused due to incredibly limited tourists. I don't know, incredibly limited, is that right? Very limited. I'll tell you, it's very similar to certain areas of Phuket here right now. It is about mid-October 2020. There are locations in Thailand for sure that I'm sure many of you know and acknowledge that, you know, literally the reason the community exists is because of foreign tourism. And this is one of those places for sure. But this is a pretty cool dock. I like these ones that have these sort of like Lego bolt together things. Those are really neat. You know what's interesting is the majority of these boats that I've seen, the long-tail boats, you know, arguably they're quite old, right? I mean, they're in good shape, but it always seems like the life preservers are like brand new. So that's a good thing. It's kind of neat. The whole thing is any lighting necessary is provided by solar power. That's awesome. Anyway, as you can imagine, there's a lot of this, right? There's a lot of these long-tail boats that will take you out to the islands. They'll take you around to the islands. They'll take you to Relay Beach. They'll take you to many of the other islands around here. Well, the alternative are these speedboats. And I don't particularly like those. For sure, they get you to places faster. Now, right now, the water is so calm, it actually would be pretty nice. And you would get there faster if that was what you wanted to do. But I like the long-tail boats for a couple of reasons. One is that it's just simply smoother, but it's also this sort of, I don't know, it's part of the experience, right? I mean, it's this nostalgic type of transport. And I will say, I like these a lot better than I like the boats that you see in the Philippines that have like the arms on them, and then they have like the giant piece of bamboo on either side, presumably for stability. And one could argue, well, yeah, they're actually, maybe engineering-wise, maybe they're actually safer in the sense that they have these, outriggers, I guess you would call them. And that may be the case, but for some reason, I like these better. And it could simply just be my bias towards, most things Thailand. There are restaurants that I've seen that have only Thai letters. When I sort of get a little bit out of the tourist areas. Now, to be fair, this entire sort of, again, Krabi place is, it's built around foreign tourism. And so it's kind of hard to get out of that. But there are, Thai villages and that sort of thing that are, they don't have as many, certainly they don't have any, 4 or 5 star resorts. And it's where, sort of the locals live. I don't know if at one time, long before there were foreign tourists, if this was simply one of these, oh yeah, it used to be a really quiet, sleepy fishing village. But I do see sort of like workers, just sort of doing their thing. I mean, these guys, who knows? I mean, for all I know, they could be fishermen, or they just could be workers at other resorts, or they could be tour guides, or that sort of thing. But anyway, this is just a little part of my journey, and just part of cruising around. So I wanted to share this with you. I'll try to get the non-carved up side of my shaved face. And with that, it's Mike's from LiveMyAssOff.com saying I hope you're living the dream. Because if you're not living the dream, then there's a high likelihood that every single morning when you get up and shave your face, you end up with a massive cut on it, and then you're walking around the whole rest of the day with a silly Band-Aid on it. I'll talk to you soon. Ciao.